right, so now we're moving to the candidates part of the day. So I'd like to call Mark Peabody with Peabody Engineering, who's going to moderate today. There you go. How about that, Mark? You got a round of applause without even asking for it. Hang on, I got to grab the water. All right, we also have a timekeeper, because you know politicians, they'll never stop talking, so that was funny, come on. Sophia Betancourt is going to help with the timekeeping, and I'd like to also ask for all the candidates to come on up. Let's hear for them. I'll be out of your way shortly. So while they're getting set up, I'd like to tell you a little bit about how the forum's going to be run today. And if I get something wrong, I'm sure I'll ask Mark to fix it and let me know. But each candidate we randomly drew a spot on the stage, as well as the order in which they're providing their closing statements. Our moderator, right here, will prompt them to provide their 1-minute opening statements, and then we're going to move into the question portion. The questions were submitted to the chamber, reviewed, and compiled in the order they will be asked today by our moderator. Each question will be answered by 3 candidates. The questions each is asked was randomly decided based on the drawing of their seats. They will have 30 seconds to answer, then we're going to move to the next candidate. After 30 seconds, then the time will be up. They're getting drawn up here with, there'll be a little timekeeper up here. We'll be showing how much time they have with a 10-second, 30-second remarks, and for their 1-minute opening and closing, and the question and answer portion. Each candidate has been provided a notepad and will be given the opportunity at the end to answer one question not posed to them if they wish. Many of the candidates have exhibitor tables, so you can stick around and meet with them afterwards. Everybody understand the rules? Because I know you were doing nothing but listening to me the whole time. What? Yeah, exactly. What? Who's that? That would be a yes. Turn it over to Mark Peabody.
Thank you very much, John. I just want to start off by saying that we live in a country that we are extremely blessed to have the privilege of self-governance. We are unlike any other nation in the world in that regard, that we can elect our officials from the municipal level all the way up to the top office in the country. And if we don't like what they're doing, we can get rid of them and get new people. So the first thing I want to do is praise each one of you for your heart for service for our community, and for your passion to get up here and to represent the people and to make a difference. So regardless of the outcome of this election, I just congratulate each one of you and thank you for your patriotism. Okay, so we're going to start off with an opening statement. And I'm sure you guys all looked in the mirror last night and you practiced what you're going to say, but I'm going to change it up on you a little bit. You have 1 minute to give your opening statement. The city of Corona has grown from a population in 1990 of 76,000 to 173,000 today. And is now it's like a large publicly traded corporation. It's got a $270 million annual budget. The citizens are like the stockholders of our city. As a city council member, you would be like a member of the board of directors of our corporation. We know that you are passionate about being elected and serving in this capacity, but what we'd like to know is what experience and education do you have that qualifies you to be a top-ranking executive capable of running our city successfully? We'll start over here on the left, I presume. Who's number 1? Dave. So Dave, you have 30 seconds to answer that question.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for bringing us all together today. My name is Dave Husted. I have served our country as a military police officer in covert actions throughout the world. Once I came out of the military, I immediately went to work for the city of Irvine, back when it was only orange groves and Lion Country Safari, if anybody's been here long enough. So saw the progression of that city, which I'm hoping to bring here to our city. Yes, we have a lot of history that Irvine did not, but we can build on that, and that means involving each and every one of you and your businesses. So 28 years I spent with the City of Irvine as their senior training officer. I founded their honor guard and was responsible for the Walk of Honor for slain officers for the state of California at Sacramento. Once from that point, I was recruited to become a federal officer with Union Pacific Railroad, which then, due to surgeries and all, I have now retired. So,
thank you, Dave. Next, we have Wes speak.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Great. My name is Wes Speak. I'm a almost 40-year resident of the city of Corona. My experience would go to my civic involvement, and I'm on the board of trustees for the Corona Public Library. I'm on the board of directors for the Riverside Community College District Foundation, and I'm also president of the Corona Historic Preservation Society. For work, I am a principal consultant for a very large multinational architecture and engineering company. I frequently manage projects that are $50, $60 million. I have a staff of 250 in 3 states, and I can't wait to be doing this. It's one of my life's, not one of my life's dreams, but I would say in the last 2 years I've prepared, I have gotten myself in a position to know what I need to know, and I'm here to do it.
Thank you, Wes. Jeremy Mercer.
Good morning, I'm Jeremy Mercer. What qualifies me to do this is leadership. I'm a pastor of Connection Church here in the city. A lot of people don't know what that entails. It's like running a business. I oversee all aspects, everything from vision creation and vision implementation, day-to-day operations, budgets and finances, leadership development, resources, staffing, and all those things that go into it. One of the things that I know about being a leader is that you have to have that vision, you set a goal, a mission, and you have to go after it. You bring the people around you, you meet with the experts, you find the facts, you make the right decisions, and you stick with it. You don't allow people who are hecklers and haters to divert you from that path, because as a leader, you're gonna face opposition. I was a land inspector for 10 years. I inspected properties everywhere from Barstow over to Malibu, all the way down to Calexico. I'm pro-business, I'm pro-growth, and we need leadership for the challenges this city faces. And I know that I can bring leadership to this city. What I do is I bring people together because I'm fair, I'm honest, and I'm trustworthy.
Thank you, Jeremy. Doug Hewson for District 4.
Thank you. Doug Hewson, and I've lived in Corona now, well, over 50 years. Grew up here with my 2 brothers, and I've raised my 4 kids here, and I intend to raise my granddaughter here. A little something, you remember in school when you learned that your heart has 4 chambers? I found out when you have a grandchild, you get a 5th. So one of the things I think that qualifies me for city council is a great love for the city and understanding of our growth. I was back here at the very beginning in the early 60s. Had an opportunity to work for IBM in a mini career for 10 years where I got to see a number of businesses from a lot of different vantage points. Then opened up my own business, a software development company and consulting, which continues to this day. And in 1997, I was driving the 91 freeway as a U.S. product manager for a Taiwanese company, had an accident that changed my life, and I decided no longer am I going to just become rich, I'm going to help others become rich.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Fauzia, District 4.
Good morning. My name is Fazia Rizvi. I'm a long-term resident, 20 years in Corona. I've raised my 3 beautiful children here. And I'm a software engineer by profession. I've worked in corporations for the last 20 years, from multi-corporations to small. Now I'm a small business owner because I just got sick and tired of driving on the freeway and decided it's time. I need to come, find solutions, and serve our community and give it back to the community who's given me so much. So I look forward to serving Corona, and I'm ready to start the work now. Thank you.
Thank you, Fauzia. So now we have Jacky Casillas, District 1.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. I'm Jacky Casillas, and I am the only candidate in District 1 to proudly be endorsed by the Corona Fire Department. I am homegrown leader. I'm born and raised in the Circle. I have been, I'm a proud graduate of our public school system. I've been organizing with our community for the past 10 years, and I have earned my master's degree from UCLA in public policy. I owe a lot to this city. Oh, and I'm currently a healthcare advocate with Planned Parenthood of the Pacific Southwest. I am running for Corona City Council because the city made me who I am. And I want to advocate for our city and fight to make sure that it remains, the beacon of opportunity for our diverse community, for our children and our grandchildren. As your council member, I will fight to keep our families and neighborhoods safe by supporting our public safety community. I will advocate and fight for our local businesses and fight for innovative jobs. I'm happy to speak with you. I look forward to sharing more today. I hope that you will take the time to learn more about me and take a look at my website.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Next we have Joe Morgan from District 1.
Hi, my name is Joe Morgan. I actually grew up around a corner from Mr. Houston here, so we grew up in literally the same neighborhood. So I'm a 50-plus year resident here, attended UCR, got a public administration degree, minor in economics. I'm kind of a numbers guy. I've been a junior high school teacher. Now I currently am an adjunct instructor at RCC, teaching automotive. I have been already fighting for small businesses. I have been already fighting for residents and to make the city better. I've spent the last 4 or 5 years of my life trying to bring people into the process. I guess I would be one of the hecklers and the haters. I find that it's useful to find out what you're doing wrong. It's one thing to find out what you're doing right. It's another thing entirely to find out what you're doing wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next we have from District 4, Mr. Jim Steiner.
Morning, everybody. I recently retired from the Corona Fire Department after serving 31 years. I've raised my family also here in Corona and lived in District 4 for over 30 years. Basically, I've been involved in this community deeply for my entire career, and so much so that this Chamber of Commerce made me your Citizen of the Year in 2014 to recognize me for my extra efforts that I always put forward. So basically, I'm retired, I'm wired for speed, I got nothing but time, and I'll make this a full-time job. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next we have for District 5, Rory Connell.
My name is Rory Connell. I have been in Corona since '91, since I was 6 years old. I'm currently the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at a small startup automotive technology company. Previous to that, I was the Vice President of Gibson Exhaust, right there off the 15 and the 91. I come from a long line of volunteers. Currently, I serve as the chairman of the largest council and network within the automotive aftermarket, which is known as the largest gathering of small business in North America. For the last 8 years, I have gone through extensive leadership training to learn how to lead strategically versus operationally. Those skills are parallels that are perfect with the city council. I understand what's going on. I know how to operate in that business. And I look forward to bringing a strategic vision to Corona and implementing operational tasks to the management of the city. That's a very important thing, being able to stand at 30,000 feet and look above and where can we go in the future versus where are we at now. So I'm a reflection of a lot of people in this room, and I thank every single one of you for making me the man I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rory. Next we have Jerry Myers for District 4.
Good morning, everyone. I have been in the business world for over 30 years. I started my own business, my first business in 1981. And part of that business brought me out to this great city. And I have been out, I have not lived in the city for about a couple of years, but I have grown to love the city over the past 30 years. And it is one of my favorite places to come. And now I'm ready to serve this great community. I'm a real estate agent for Paul Cott. I also have a small business here in Corona that is licensed here in Corona, and I am also a part of the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, and I serve my country through that way, and I am very pro-business, pro-life, and I am ready to serve this great community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. And last but not least, for District 1, we have Sean Kelly.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Kelly, and I'll just be honest with you guys. I am not a politician, and I don't claim to be one. You know, I have 25 years experience in management and leadership, and, you know, Corona is my home. It is where I met my beautiful wife. It's where I got my second chance at life. For the past 10 years, I have been serving Corona and serving the people who have been hurt, broken, lost. My wife and I, we founded a recovery center. We help people with any type of hurt, any type of habit. We do it all for free. You know, in 2006, I had a life-changing experience that really changed the way I think, that changed my values, changed really what I was working towards in life. And what now I'm working towards in life is serving, loving, and helping people out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, all of you. So we're going to start the actual questions now, and we're going to begin on the left here again. So we'll ask one question. The first three of you will answer, and then I'll ask question number two, the next three, and so forth. And in this phase, you'll have 30 seconds to answer the question. And it's challenging because these are difficult, complex questions. So best of luck to you. So the first question for Mr. Husted. Corona today is primarily a bedroom community, but has a robust business community as well. Many of our residents have to commute to OC and LA counties each day for employment. Attracting and retaining businesses is critical for increased tax revenue for our city, as well as a way to allow more residents to get off the freeway, work closer to home. Please tell us what you see the city doing now with respect to economic development, including the Corona 2020 program with the Chamber, and what you would support or do differently to attract and retain more business with high-paying jobs and create high-quality opportunities for our residents.
Regarding the 2020 service, it's evolving around the idea of a medical facility campus that will be just on the south side of Main Street. I definitely would support this. My wife is a charge nurse at the hospital and in labor and delivery. So quite often, some of the clients of your services end up part of my family. Anyway,
Thank you very much. I would encourage you to speak quickly.
Quickly, I would say that the city is not friendly to business. I've spent my time in the last year talking to businesses about expansion, about problems they've had coming into the city, and our process is too long, it's too complicated, and we need to find ways to smooth the permit process. We need to have a competent and complete building department and building group that focuses on getting people through the system and achieving a permit and getting open.
Thank you very much.
Economic development is the core function for every city, every county, every state. It's the lifeblood of a community, and we need to make sure that we are focused on that in bringing businesses here. I spoke with the CEO from a neighboring community a few weeks back who lease is up in about 48 months, and they're considering Corona to come to, and their business is about to triple. We need to bring those jobs here. Every one of us should be walking around with scissors cutting red tape to make sure that that government gets out of the way of business. As Ronald Reagan said, government is the problem. Get out of their way, let business people do what they do, which is build business, give people jobs, and help our city thrive.
Thank you. The next question for the next three of you. Corona and the entire state of California is facing a homelessness epidemic, and as a result of the past decade of a weak economy and no state plan to properly address this growing sector of our population. It's not a crime to be homeless, but it creates challenges in public health, safety, and compassionate care of people who truly need help. What is your plan to address this issue, and how do you propose to underwrite the cost, if any, to achieve your goals?
Yeah, I have some experience with this. My wife's brother found himself homeless, and he had burned the bridges with most of those in our family. And it was really through a comprehensive program with Riverside County, front-ended by a semi-private organization called Jefferson Wellness, that got him off the streets, getting psychiatric medical care. And we need a wellness center intake in Corona to help these people.
Thank you.
So this is a subject very close and dear to my heart. For the past few years, I've been working within the city leaders to find a solution. We need to, there are state funding that we need to, that hasn't been utilized, so we need to go and find for those fundings and bring good programs like God's Kitchen back. We have Hope Recovery Team, and we want to strengthen and empower them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Homelessness in 30 seconds. All right. So this is a regional issue, it's a state issue, it's a national issue. What Corona does is not going to change the state and the nation, but we can make marginal improvements. I've had the opportunity to drive with the Hope team and see the work that they do. We need to continue funding that task force. We also need to think regionally and partner with regional partners to see what other services we can provide. We have great nonprofits providing housing here. We know what works. Let's keep going.
Thank you very much. The next question. Public safety is a top priority for this community. The city recently had to make some staff reductions in our police and fire departments to stay within budget, which has been a cause of concern by some of our citizens. What's your position on the recent staffing and equipment reductions, and what, if anything, would you have done differently? Specifically, how would you reconcile your suggestions to meeting the city's goals of a balanced budget?
Well, I think we made choices that we shouldn't have made. You know, the budget's about choices, budget's about priorities. The priority is public service, and we shifted money to the IT department. You know, we cut 14 positions from the PD and 6 positions from fire, and added another $2.5 million to IT. Absolutely not. We need to cancel the legal department. That needs to go back to being sublet, and sublet the IT department.
I agree with Joe that the timing of some of these cuts and additions that were occurring at the same time probably wasn't the best timing. From a public safety background, I understand the pension issue, the unfunded liability issue, but I also understand the importance of providing this type of service to our community. At the very least, I would have waited till the new fire chief and police chief came in to see what kind of innovative ideas they had moving forward and make sure there was a plan in place.
For me, the most important things that as citizens we need are water, power, police, and fire. I would rather see dead grass all over this town before we cut any of those essential services. That's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question will be Jerry, Sean, and then we'll go back over to Dave, who's going to be a fast talker this time. Okay, so Corona only receives 8 cents, believe it or not, of every dollar collected in property taxes. As compared to what the county, special districts, and schools receive, it seems to be disproportionate. As an alternative revenue stream, it has been suggested that the city either add a 1% sales tax or a utility tax of up to 10% on businesses' utility bills in order to collect higher revenues to service the city's budget and other unfunded liabilities. Obviously, the chamber and business community would be opposed to additional taxes. What would you propose the city does? Try to renegotiate a higher share of property tax for the city, or add additional tax burdens on the residents and businesses? How would you approach your plan?
First off, I think that raising taxes is not a very good idea. Our taxes are already high, and we are burdened with that. So I think we should look to our budget and look to where we can cut unessential services or things that we don't need to fund some of those burdens.
Thank you.
You know, I believe absolutely no tax, especially in this city, especially in this state. We already have the highest taxes out of the United States here in this state. I really believe it has to do with our growth and our economic development. We have an amazing team here in Corona with that department, and I really feel like we should go out there and push and growth. Growth is our answer.
Thank you. Dave?
I'll have to agree with the last statement. Rather than cuts, why don't we add? Why don't we add to our services? Therefore, there is additional taxes. Be smarter about our businesses and bring in money-making programs, businesses that add to our tax base rather than subtracting. We're always cutting. Let's add.
Thank you. Wes, I know you want to answer that, but you don't get to.
Oh, man.
Okay, but you're going to like this one.
Okay, good.
CalPERS has been a contentious topic lately. As the looming crisis in unfunded CalPERS pension liability is affecting cities throughout California, some even facing bankruptcy, Corona's annual contribution has risen from $5.5 million to over $23 million and is expected to rise by another $14 million over the next several years. This will likely exhaust our reserves by 2021. One way Corona is addressing this crisis is by making annual lump sum contributions to CalPERS, saving over $400,000 this year alone. Do you think this is a good strategy, and what else would you propose we do to meet these pending obligations and remain solvent and able to effectively operate our city?
$300 million is no joke. It's our unfunded liability is growing all the time. I think a lot of our problem starts with the CalPERS itself, and I'm glad to see that we have somebody from our police department that's running for that board, and we hope to see some change in the investment side. But all we can do is we can control our house, which is to ensure that we continue with this program of paying down our unfunded liabilities and get that under control. Otherwise, it just grows out of control and will end up, like you said, bankrupting us.
Thank you.
I agree with the city's approach so far to pay more up front. You don't want to do like all of us know, if you pay minimum amounts on your credit card, it's just going to prolong the problem and make it worse as time goes on. Our answer for the problem is growth. We have to bring in more revenue. We bring in more business, and we need to do that. The unfunded liability is one of the biggest issues, a major issue in this city. I know from running an organization, you have to keep the doors open. You have to keep the organization moving forward. So while the cuts have been challenging and difficult, we do need to stay on the path for solvency.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the same way, I would agree that we need to increase revenue for our city, but primarily through growth. The issue is one that we're trying to address. It's a 40-year problem, and it's going to take multiple years to dig our way out. In some years, like we're doing, we ought to pay down that mortgage in advance, but if the current operational budget for any 1 year is strained, then we'll just forego that for the year, and that'll be our approach.
Thank you. Next question, Fazia. Corona has a long history of being home to mining and aggregate plants. They were here before most of us were. How do you view these industries as they relate to the community? Are they partners we should continue to work with for job creation and economic growth in our region? Or should we reassess our relationships and look to encouraging other alternatives for those properties?
We need to work with our partners, but we need to look into different options of bringing revenue to the city. So when we talk about all the issues, we talk about the biggest thing is we need to fix our budget, and we've had cuts. At the point now we need to partner with different businesses, bring them on board, but work with our current partners for job growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Jackie?
So mining and aggregate plants are job creators, and they provide materials that are in demand across the country. As with all businesses, we need to make sure that we're working with them so that there's a partnership, they remain profitable, they're growing, and we have a partnership.
Thank you.
So the building supply and aggregate industry and the extraction businesses that we have in town are a huge part of our sales tax base. It's also a pretty volatile part of the sales tax base. I would prefer that we start working towards a transition. Those are valuable properties. Those are valuable properties that these people can do. We can do other things where they can make money in other ways as well. So we need to create homes for businesses as well as people.
Thank you. Jim, question number 8 here. Actually, it's number 7, but I do confusing things. Corona has doubled in size over the last 2 decades. The city has benefited from developers who have invested tens of millions of dollars in investment projects ranging from industrial parks to residential and retail developments. This has benefited our economy, attracted more companies to locate in Corona, and provided local jobs to Corona residents. On the other hand, more people moving here has created congestion on our roads and increased demand on city services and on our school district. How would you propose we manage growth in the future in a productive way that does not infringe on the rights of companies who are developing properties within the constraints of existing zoning ordinances, and at the same time maintain a great community environment for city residents?
Thanks. I think first of all, development is not a bad thing, and we need to make sure that infrastructure is put in place first. Simple as that. However, what I see is the obstacles or the tripping up points are when we don't bring the developers and the neighbors together soon enough. So I'd like to explore the possibility of a citizens commission to bring everybody together right away.
Thank you.
Until our community has a sustainable infrastructure to provide what we need to push pause on any future development. And the people who do own property have every right to build on those pieces of property, but we need to make sure the density is the absolute minimum until we're able to provide police, fire, and traffic solutions to our residents. My kid's going to continue to live here for the rest of his life, and he needs to have all the benefits that I did growing up here, which was police, fire, and streets that weren't busy, and that's not happening now.
As a real estate agent for commercial and residential, I do approve of the development. However, I think that there needs to be some responsible development in that we cannot grow too fast and we cannot grow too large too quick. So we definitely though need the infrastructure to maintain the growth that we have, and that's the problem that I see is our infrastructure with roads and streets.
Thank you. Was that 3? Yeah. Okay, you get a new question. As a viable community that seeks to attract businesses and high-paying jobs, it's important that we have a plan for quality of life, including education, infrastructure, and healthcare options. Corona Regional Medical Center recently invested over $40 million in a new state-of-the-art emergency room, has vastly improved their quality of care, and has received accolades and awards of excellence from many organizations in the past few years. The hospital ownership plans to invest tens of millions of dollars more in improving, enlarging, and upgrading the hospital and attracting elite medical professionals to make it a top-rated medical care facility, including strategic partnerships with UCI and CHOC. The success of the hospital depends upon a healthy strategic relationship with the city through their cooperation in meeting our mutual goals of great health care facilities in our city. As a council member, what would you do to help improve the level of health care available to Corona residents?
You know, I have to go back to where I said my life change happened at Corona Regional. I had 3 heart attacks in one day. 2 of them flatlined me. I owe a lot to Corona Regional. Getting and redoing Corona Regional has been amazing. Everything that has been done has been great. You know, as far as answering the rest of the question, I'm not going to get to it.
Dave.
Actually, I have a interest in Corona Regional. It's some of my income into my family, my wife being an employee there. I've had a meeting with Mark Uffer, the CEO, and I think those kind of meetings need to continue on what their plans are and how we can work with them and collectively build a better community and relationship with the growing hospital, such as offices and so forth.
Thank you.
I've spent time with Mark, had a great conversation the very first time I met with him. He admitted that there was a problem, which is fantastic. They've done an amazing job. They've turned themselves going in the right direction. They need more support from the city. They need more support for that neck of the woods, and I think we're going in the right direction with the new facilities we have on board, and the city should do everything it can to encourage and the additional investment around the hospital.
Thank you. Jeremy, the city recently sold much of the Corona Mall to a developer in hopes of generating significant redevelopment and commerce in this blighted part of the city. What is your plan to attract people back to this downtown area, make Corona into a destination to outlying regions for dining, entertainment, or meetings, and how would that work? What would be the cost of your plan, and where would that money come from?
So this goes back to, again, our need to economically grow and develop. It's important that we preserve the history of our city and work with the historic societies that we have here to find a good way to rebuild downtown, 6th Street, Main Street, We want Corona to look nice. We want it to be attractive to businesses and to people coming here. And so you bring people together, you develop a right plan, you get input from the citizens, and you put forth that plan, and you implement that plan.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to see that we have a new partner, new developer for that area. It's the premier place to be. It's freeway accessible. It's downtown Corona. So I'm very excited. I'd like to see some more work that Kimberly Davidson's doing to bring an innovation center there. So not only do we attract outside companies, but we grow, you know, the traditional 2 giga, 2 guys in a garage developing a great idea. We fast start them, capitalize them, and see the next Microsoft here.
Thank you.
So we have a new partner, and we are working with it. So we, as a city council I, as a city council member, want to support and give them resources so they're successful. So when we attract businesses, we bring people to the downtown, we bring revenue. So we need to invest in innovation and great infrastructure and support the laptop company so we can move forward with that.
Thank you very much. All right, Jackie, you get the daily double. Oh. So this is 2 questions you're going to have to answer in the speed round. The city does not currently have rent control. Would you support continuing this structure, or would you impose rent control on private sector real estate owners and managers, and why? Number 2, California passed SB 54 declaring us as a sanctuary state, not cooperating with federal law enforcement in identifying and arresting felons who have illegal alien status. The city of Corona opted out of SB 54 and is not recognizing the state's mandate to ignore federal laws, and is as such not a sanctuary city. What is your view on this decision? If elected, would you support or oppose Corona's current position?
I was extremely disappointed with our city council's choice to pass a politically charged, controversial resolution on Sanctuary City. They chose to go against our city staff and our recommendations that this did not apply to our city, and instead took the vote for political points. It was really disappointing. And for the other thing, can I get another 30 seconds on that?
Time's up.
I will.
All right. Oh, so on the rent control versus rent stabilization, on private properties, apartments, absolutely not. On mobile home parks, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. It's one thing when it costs $200 to move. It's another thing when it costs $20,000 to move. As far as SB 54, SB 54 was a stunt by the Democrats in Sacramento, and it was a stunt here in Corona to pull the we're not SB 54. It's a political stunt by both parties.
Okay, rent control. I oppose rent control because of the unintended consequences it can have on the housing market. However, I don't know enough about it. I would need a study session to really evaluate it, but that would be my first answer until I learn more at least. And then with SB 54, I also oppose that. I can't see myself supporting anything that restricts law enforcement from communicating with other law enforcement.
Thank you very much. Next question. This is going to be a hard one in 30 seconds.
Talk fast.
Regarding the McKinley Avenue grade separation project, the primary opponents of the project are approximately 100 Corona businesses that are concerned that the proposed road over rail design will be detrimental to their properties and businesses because of construction and later visibility issues. On the other hand, the grade separation will benefit thousands of people daily and reduce transit times from not being stopped by more than the 100 trains that pass McKinley Avenue daily, and that includes emergency vehicles like ambulance, police, and fire vehicles, who would benefit by quicker response times. Do you support the current plan, or do you have another proposal that would achieve the same goals with less impact to the affected businesses? If you have another plan, what would the cost of your alternative be, and where would that money come from?
You're missing the most important part of the question, which is where's KPC in the whole thing? Because everybody knows that it's the elephant in the room, and the whole plan changed when somebody came to the table with a different idea. And that will destroy over 100 businesses in the area. I've done business in the area. Most of my industry is based in the area. I am 100% opposed to it. Everything changed when somebody showed up with money. And it's BS. The whole thing's a joke. It's a scam. The bridge needs to go over the roadway.
Well, speaking from someone who has been stuck on the road waiting for one of those trains, we do need something there. I spent a little bit of time last night looking at the proposal and the bridge. I have seen a bridge like that work in Fullerton, but I'm not too up on this particular plan to really make a firm decision. So I would have to look into that and you know, to make my final decision.
Thank you.
You know, my decision would be based on the reports and really using the staff that we do have and the management that we do have and what their recommendations would be. But my personal opinion on it would be go for it. We only have that money for a short amount of time. Why not spend it on something that will definitely improve that intersection, will improve the traffic there, and overall help everyone out.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes the questions. I got a number 13 here. Bear with me just a second. I think that was the 11th question. So that was the program. Do you want to go to closing statements now, or do we want to do another question, or?
You did a speed round, so if you want to repeat any of those questions for any of the others that weren't here till 8:40. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just to keep it interesting, I've got one more question that I'm going to ask, and this is a question that all of you are going to answer. Okay, so listen very carefully and speak very quickly. As a city council member, how would you represent your constituents in terms of serving the public trust? How would you get feedback and decide which policies you would support that would serve the greater good, irrespective of dissenting positions? How would you support a position that may be unpopular by vocal citizens, but in your view is the correct course of action regardless? And how would you separate your loyalty to your individual district versus the greater good of this entire city of Corona?
Well, first and foremost, you are a representative of the public who voted for you. So you better pay attention on their needs and then their desires. Sometimes the education, just talking to them on what is available at the time. If it's a budgetary issue, it's like a pie. You can cut it up all you want, but when it's gone, it's gone. So set your priorities, communicate with the public, and represent.
Yes, I think we're all going to be, anybody that's up there, and then the existing council faces these decisions all the time. I think the way you do it is by bringing people into the process. And we engage with the public on a larger scale, bring them in, talk about each one of these issues so we can figure out how to get there and how to talk to people about all the issues, because sometimes people don't know all the information. Serving living in this city for almost 40 years, I've been in every square inch of it, I think, as a child and as an adult. And when I think of Corona, I think of the whole city. I don't think of a district.
So I feel like the heart of the question that you answered is right in my wheelhouse. People have asked me to run. I never had any designs on running. Never was a goal for me. But people said, Jeremy, we know we can trust you. You'll never say something to our face and turn around and do something else behind our back. Even if you disagree with us, you'll tell us respectfully. You bring people together. You have to be honest, fair, and trustworthy so they know that you're an honest broker. You have to listen to people, but sometimes as a leader, you have to make the decision that you know is right based on the facts, based on the information, even though it may be popular. And you don't respond to social media groups. Nothing gets done on social media that way there. You sit down.
Thank you very much.
I have District 4, and we have a few problems to solve. Some of them are centered around traffic, others around development. And I think that the city has to set policies first of all, but then the individual districts have to have a say. They may not get their way every time, but they have to feel like they have a say. And so I'll be those two ears and single mouth.
Communication to the public. We need to bring, my stand is on integrity, transparency, and community. So we need to bring community on the table, discuss issues. We might be on the other side, but informing the citizens about the issues we're facing and working towards them as a solution.
I think one of the best steps first was Measure N. As the campaign manager for Measure N, which introduced districting to our city, I can tell you that now we're going to ensure that every council member lives and breathes and drives the same streets that our neighborhoods do. I also think we need to meet people where they are. They are on social media, and that 2/3 of Americans get their news from social media. That means we need to do better reaching out, because that tool can bring us together and it doesn't necessarily have to drive us apart.
I was concerned to hear irrespective of dissenting voices. The problem is we never hear the dissenting voices. We never hear the voices of the residents. They're shut out of the process. The cake is already baked by the time anything's done here. You know, so as the person who actually did most of the work on Measure N, I've actually been out face to face with the dissenting voices. I got 4,000, 5,000 signatures for the recall. I have actually been out there talking to people. We need to listen more.
I've spent my entire adult life putting people first. I retired as a fire captain. I was in that position for 21 years. I've made the hard decisions my entire career, and I've made it for you. I'm going to continue to put the people first. In District 4, we have one of the biggest issues going on in our city, and that's traffic, and that's Green River. And I'm not going to rest until we get Green River fixed, because that's a huge quality of life issue for all of us.
Everybody turn around and look at the lady in the back. She's like openly cheering all the time. She's keeping all of us pumped up. Good for you. I love that you're this excited. As a leader, you know, my professional leadership training, I'm trained, you know, strategic leadership versus operational leadership. You need to listen to the operational complaints of the citizens, but you need to make sure that you keep yourself strategic, and you need to be someone that people can know they can trust behind closed doors. You need to be someone that, you know, people know what they're going to get. They can.
We do have a problem, and what we need to do is we need to bring our communities together. We need to be out there talking to our communities. We need to be listening to them. We need to be understanding what they are saying, but in the same way, we need to make hard decisions. And sometimes those hard decisions aren't always what our community needs or wants. But what we do need to do is be truthful and honest and open with each and every one of them.
You know, for the past 10 years, I've been doing three things, and three things I stress without a doubt. And that is, I don't care if it's a hardcore drug addict, an alcoholic, or just somebody broken. They want three things. Number one, they want you to listen to them. Number two, they want you to love them or know that you care about them. And number three, they want to be part of something, a community. You know, and I think if we stress that and we really push through that, we could really break some new ground.
Thank you for all your answers. So now we're going to go into the closing statement. You will each have 1 minute. Originally, we were going to ask you if you wanted to answer one of the questions that you didn't get to answer, if you're passionate about that. You can use this time for that if you'd like. If you would rather do the thing that you did in the mirror this morning instead, that's up to you. Just pretend you're on an elevator going to the 22nd floor, and you're going to be done with your speech before you get there. So we're going to start with Wes.
I thought we had we all pulled numbers.
Oh, I stand corrected. You did pull numbers.
Yes, sir. I'm number 3.
And you're number 3, so you don't get to go.
I know.
Okay, we're going to start with Jerry Myers.
You're welcome, Jerry.
All right. It has been a pleasure to go out into the community and talk to members of the community to find out what their needs are and where they need to have where their concerns are. And so as a councilman, I would really be that grassroots person to get out in the community, knock on doors, talk to people, and to listen to what they say. I am very pro-business, very pro-community, and I think our communities have a lot of things to say, and they have a lot of great ideas, and sometimes we need to listen to them, and I think that's what I would do as your city councilman. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Fausia.
So I would like to start by thanking the Corona Chambers for hosting this candidates forum. So you've heard it all. We have quite a few challenges ahead of us. We need a council member who's ready, who's compassionate, who's ready to give back to the community. So I am that person. I'm ready to give it to the people, serve the community, listen to the people. And that's what we need to do. And I'm not beholden to any interest or anybody. I am representing the only interest that is the residents of Corona, especially the District 4, who has a lot of issues. Traffic on Green River, the Sierra Del Oro communities are really, really frustrated, and they're really impacted. So at this point, I would like for your support and your vote so we can keep going. I'm the only businesswoman running in District 4, so here's to my women. Let's keep going and let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Wes.
So we're standing. So first I want to answer all the questions. I'm excited to be here. I want to thank the Chamber for putting this on. But in all seriousness, Corona is at a crossroads. We are $300 million in debt to CalPERS. We had big cuts this year. We're going to have bigger cuts next year if the economy slows. We have crumbling infrastructure. We have park equipment that doesn't get replaced because we don't have money to replace it. There's gain tags in places that I haven't seen it in years. That is discerning to me. We need to have leadership. We don't have time for folks to figure it out. We don't have time for folks to find new ideas. We need to have people that are leaders, going to come in and do the job and exude leadership. I am that leader, and I would be honored to have your vote in November as the very first councilman in District 5.
Thank you very much. Dave.
Well, once again, thank you for having this event and allowing us the opportunity to meet each of you and express our background and foundations. I've been in law enforcement for 40 years. I've definitely meet the people, listen to them, and am a problem solver. And that's what you need in this position. We also need to recruit more businesses. We need to not only wait for them to come to us, which isn't going to happen. We need to go out, search for them, get a good economic base, and bring them in there. That's going to take infrastructure, and we're going to have to plan for our schools and our public safety, and get this all on the table and do, with good planning, put this city on the right track. I am a leader, been there for a long time. I also serve this community, including sweeping the streets.
Thank you very much. Jeremy.
I love living in this city. My family loves it here. I think probably most of us in this room agree we have a great city. We have an amazing story to tell. Every one of us in this room needs to see ourselves, and everybody in this city needs to see ourselves as economic developers. We need to go out there and tell people how great of a city this is and the opportunities that are here. I'm running to make Corona strong, safe, and successful. We're strong when we live within our means, like every family and every business, and as a pastor I know every church has to do. We're strong when we maintain a balanced budget without raising taxes. I'm running to keep this city safe so that our kids don't find needles on the baseball field like we did in the Little League field my son plays at and that I'm a board member at. We need to make sure women feel safe to take a walk at night. And we need to make sure our police and our fire have the tools and the training and the staff they need to do the job that they're great at doing and that all of us appreciate them doing. And we're successful when we attract jobs and businesses here to this city so this city can thrive. And we're successful when we work together to face the challenges ahead. There's a lot of them that face this city, but we can conquer them if we come together and work together, and it takes leadership, and I am that leader.
Thank you very much. Joe.
So, you know, we talk a lot about being business friendly. This city is not business friendly. This city is expensive to do business in. Rents are very high. We're at parity with North Orange County. It should not be the case. We set aside land for houses, but we don't set aside places for a business to make a home. We're constantly eating away at the land, and that's the one thing we can't get back. And I really want to talk about McKinley. This isn't just some random 100 people. This is David Arena. They have their house wrapped up in their business. They have their entire life wrapped up in their business. And to say that, well, we just need to spend the money because we need to spend it right. This whole process was shortcutted. This was done for a purpose, that we need to build the rail overbridge like it was always the plan. That it doesn't take away any businesses, and I'm tired of having the city talk about people's businesses as that they're just expendable. I'm tired of the city playing on somebody else's money. That's what they're doing. They're throwing away somebody else's life.
Thank you. We're Jim Steiner.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this morning. I have a long history with the Corona Chamber of Commerce, and you know me well. I've taken my candidacy very seriously. Not only have I already walked every precinct in District 4 already, I've also walked into 175 businesses, both large and small, and asked them, how is life like doing business in Corona? What experiences are you having, good or bad? Are you a member of the chamber? If not, why not? So I've been pounding the streets, talking to the people that are telling me exactly how they're feeling, talking to the residents and business owners, and I'm going to do my best to look out for every one of them.
Thank you very much. Doug Hewson.
Well, I want to say thank you, not just for being here today, but what you do every single day. You employ people, you develop products, you deliver services, and I understand that. I know what it's like to make payroll and to sweat about whether you can make payroll. A number of years ago, I was asked by our senior pastor to take the lead on our school as a superintendent. We were bleeding pretty badly. In the challenge to lay people off, he said something interesting to me. He said, if you can do this without it affecting you emotionally, you're the wrong person for the job. And so I'll just say this, over 30-some years of being a business consultant and yet 20-plus being a pastor, I bring a business mind, but yet a pastor's heart. I think that could serve our city very, very well in the near future. I'm excited about what you do. I'm excited about what I could do to help you.
Thank you very much. Rory Connell.
Once again, I'm a product of this community. I was raised here. I'm fortunate to travel the world doing business because of the opportunities created for me in this community. I have 3 priorities. The first one is restoring public safety to the levels that we deserve as citizens. My family, your family, every single person's family in this city deserves to know that they can go to bed at night safe. The second would be economic development, and that's not just new business. Every single one of you that owns a business knows what the struggles are. There's peaks and there's valleys. We need to look at the businesses that are here and how we can grow them. How can we make the businesses that are here perform now? Because building a business is much harder than making one grow faster. And the last thing is, infrastructure, RCTC. We need someone that's going to come to the table and make these people pay for everything that we're owed. That's it. At the end of the day, that's why we failed, because we sucked when it came to representing this community with RCTC. So we're all suffering because of poor leadership in certain areas now, and we need change now. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Kelly.
I've been speaking with a lot of leaders and business owners in our community, and here's what they've said to me. They want someone who's pro-business, pro-economic growth, pro-free enterprise, someone who wants to retain and attract businesses that can provide those high-paying jobs. So then we could maybe get some of those people off the freeway. Maybe we could get those people to work in our own town instead of driving an hour, 2 hours to work. I believe they also said to me they want to see people who see the long-term benefits and not just the short-term, unpopular decisions that have to be made. We need to make Corona better, keep up with technology, market factors that will transform Corona into a better model city. And I just want to thank the Chamber, business community for the opportunity to come here and share who I am and why I'm running for City Council.
Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Jacky Casillas.
Thank you all again so much for this opportunity. You know, we have a great city with a very rich history and very dedicated residents. We are facing tough problems like staffing levels and budgetary issues. So we need to get smarter and think strategically and set a real vision and an economic roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years. We need to invest in our community, and I'm telling you, I am the woman for the job. You know, I have a personal understanding of the way policy affects folks' daily lives because I've lived it, I've organized around it for the last 10 years, and you know, I know the mechanics behind it. I am a consensus builder. I am a positive, solution-oriented leader. You know, I'm prudent with money. I am a hard worker, smart, tough, and I'm ethical. And I am really proud to say that I live here and I believe in our future. So I would be honored to have your support and count on your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of the candidates. Again, thank you for your passion for the city of Corona and your patriotism for stepping up and wanting to make a difference. We appreciate your time here this morning and wish each of you success in moving forward. And that's the end of it. Here's John Wygant.
All right, wow. Thank you to all the candidates. Let's give them another round of applause, please.